Welcome to the X Corner. I'm here adding more mutation to the superhero crew. I'll be covering the X comics for the week of October 3rd, 2018. This week we only have 3 comics. Shatterstar number 1 of 5, What If X-Men number 1, and X-Men Black Magneto number 1. Spoilers, of course. We'll start with Shatterstar number 1, written by Tim Seeley, art by Geraldo Sandoval. As I started reading this book, and I saw the first page, I was like, oh no. It reminded me of the Weapon X series, and I thought, well, here's a mini I don't have to read. But then I turned the page, and I was in a whole new world. Shatterstar is living a normal life, being a landlord for refugees from their own times or dimensions. We get Pug Smasher from Earth 8311, who was a terrorist in his own world, but was cast out by Thanhorse. Then there's Golden and Crimzar, who seem to be out of the He-Man universe, but are writing a TV series script about where they came from. Next is the End Woman, who was sent back in time to kill the evil oppressor from her time, only to befriend her since she was a lonely 13-year-old girl who maybe just needed a friend. We get Dwayne Taylor, ex-Night Thrasher from Earth 90214, which was a world where everyone was a hard-boiled hero. The noir series of Elseworld-like stories, maybe? He's a crotchety old man with Parkinson. Last we get Tina Cook, who is just a normal lady from what seems like our Earth, 1218, maybe? Who got stuck in the Marvel U and finds everything is very exciting. After being introduced to the weird characters, Shatterstar goes to a play as he likes to hear the crowd reactions like when he was a gladiator from Mojo. While there, though, his tenants all get kidnapped. He gets home to find them all gone except for Dwayne, who was mortally wounded. He killed one of his attackers, but the rest got away. He dies, and Shatterstar checks the security cams to see that the attackers are a group called the Death Sponsors from the Mojoverse, led by an ex-nemesis/mentor named Gringrave. He buries Dwayne and pledges to get them back. Unbeknownst to him, though, he is on TV, not being run by Mojo, but rather the new hit villain, the Grandmaster, who we find out has been narrating the whole comic. This was a fun issue, and I almost would rather see a whole series of Shatterstar just dealing with his weird tenants, but I guess I'll tolerate him going to save them. Pug Smasher in uniform might be the cutest thing ever. I also like how they treat Shatterstar and Richter's relationship. It feels real as he sees Richter, now club owner, it seems. I guess all the X-Force alum invested their money wisely. He remembers the night Richter left, and the accusations that their relationship didn't work because they didn't fight enough. It says so much about their Shatterstar as a character. Even though he lives a domestic life, he yearns for battle and the cheers of the crowd, as we see like when he goes to plays. It's really well done. I kinda wish it was Mojo behind it all, but I guess he's busy. He's getting his own one-shot soon. And I think Mojo World is now in New York City, so there's that. A really good first issue, and I hope it just doesn't degrade into an average book after this. 8 out of 10. Then there's What If X-Men number 1, written by Brian Edward Hill and art by Neil Edwards. This is a what-if story, but unlike the regular what-if format, where the watcher takes a look at something that's slightly changed to create a whole new world, this one is pretty much just what if mutants were cyberpunks. We have Cable and Domino recruited by Xavier to save Magneto, although he's never called that, from a virus called Nimrod in cyberspace. Cable is the man on the outside, and Domino goes into cyberspace to stop the virus. She finds and kills Nimrod and makes it to Megs to find that it was all a ploy to make everyone mutants, or EXE as they call themselves. Get it? EXE? X? Get it? Even though Domino never said she was against this, or even made any attempt to stop Megs, he attacks her. Cable calls in Xavier to save her, even though it'll mean his death of his physical body. Xavier defeats Megs and steals his body, though. Then at the end we get to see a bunch of reimagined cyberpunk X-Men for no reason. So the story has absolutely nothing to do with the X-Men. It was like a reskin of another brand. I think it could have been a cool series if developed further, and not shoehorned into this format. The art was not good in an unusual way. In a strange turn, Edwards was good at dialogue scenes, but terrible at the action parts. Usually artists post-Image Boom are the opposite. I actually just looked him up, and he's older, and Welsh, so that might explain everything. I like some of the imagery in cyberspace, like when Domino goes all Akira, but I always felt that the cyber stuff could have been a computer graphic feel, to really push this book in an interesting way. Even an old-school Batman Digital Justice feel might have been cool. The X-Men at the end made no sense, other than as a teaser for actual series of this. Also, the art style changes once again there. I'm beginning to think that being Welsh might not be the only issue for this artist. There's even a couple of character profiles for Rogue and Jubilee in the back who aren't even in the story. Like I said, if they just dropped the X-Men part and put this out as an Image comic, it might have been interesting, and probably something I'd really enjoy. We don't have enough cyberpunk comics out there. I do have a sneaky feeling Marvel saw the love for the new cyberpunk video game, and thought, hey, we can jump on that bandwagon. It wasn't horrible, just rushed and unnecessary. Would I read this as a series? Maybe. Maybe it'll be more like the aforementioned noir series of books. Interesting concept, but ultimately forgettable. We'll see. 7 out of 10. Better than you thought I'd give, I bet. This one was a head-scratcher for me, too. Then there is X-Men Black, Magneto #1, written by Chris Claremont, art by Daljibor Talajic. We begin with a quiet scene with Magneto enjoying a meal in a rural diner. He has a nice conversation with the young waitress, watches the news about a child mutant detention camp opening up, and almost gets in a fight with a bunch of redneck anti-mutant racists. We then get a flashback of Magneto destroying the X-Men in a training simulation, showing he's still the Magneto we know. He then goes off to save the mutant kids. He walks right up to the camp door and is recognized almost immediately. A Sentinel war suit comes out to kill him, but he handily disintegrates it. He doesn't kill the female operative though, or anyone else for that matter, because he's reminded of the young girl at the diner, Kitty Pryde as a child, and his own daughter. He frees the kids who just want to go home and don't really have time to hear Magneto's speeches. He flies off with them and the whole camp building, and the camp guards plot to kill him next time they meet. Then there's a backup story with Apocalypse. He's trying to create a new perfect body for himself, but his experiments blow up in his face. He's then teleported to a strange land. He fights off a man-thing-like monster, and realizes he's no longer in control of his powers, nor is he healing. He is slowly turning back into a man. We do get a great tale of Magneto in this comic that puts Cullen Bunn's hand-handed betrayal to shame. Magneto is redeemed as both character and villain of sorts. No crazed mustache twirling here, just a man who's trying to prevent what happened to his people in World War II from happening again today. The use of the child detention centers from today's headline could be to some a cheap trick, but in fact this was what Claremont was writing about happening to the mutants in the 80s. It's just unfortunate the present has created an allegory that fits far too well for this story. While there are some moments that seem cliché, like the bar patrons being all horrifically racist, I can attest, as a bartender in a small town, this is far from being inaccurate. I hear the same stuff every day as people watch the news. In some ways, this is a power fantasy for Claremont, hoping that there was a Magneto looking out for the rights of the downtrodden. This comic was so much better than I expected. Claremont reaffirmed Magneto's past in the concentration camps, something very few writers touch on today. It humanizes the character and shows he isn't some megalomaniac, as Bunn tried to tell us. It was great in a word, and a return to the core of the character. Once again, I hope this continues on. The Apocalypse backup story was a strange one. It felt much more like a high evolutionary story than an Apocalypse one. But Nadler and Thompson had a great run on Cable, so hopefully it comes into its own. I don't know why Marvel didn't just do this as a X-Men Black Apocalypse book, but who am I to question the great and powerful Marvel editorial staff? Overall, 9 out of 10 for the Magneto story, and a 7 out of 10 for Apocalypse. A weird week, as we didn't have any of the regular series books. Shatterstar was fun, but I doubt I'll enjoy the rest of the series as much, unless we get more Pug Smasher. Though What If was a weird one also, that just left me asking why, and the Magneto story was everything I ever wanted from a Magneto story. Next week, more weird stuff, but back to some regular stuff too. See ya there.